They say trust is the foundation of any marriage. For a while, I thought we had that. My name is Daniel Reed, and I honestly believed I married someone who respected me. Someone who'd walk through life with me, not around me. My wife and I had built what looked like a solid life. Shared routines, inside jokes, dinner on the table by 7. From the outside, it probably seemed idyllic. But something shifted. She started pulling away in small, almost unnoticeable ways. Late nights at work turned into overnight, business trips. Her laughter became forced. Conversations, once easy, now felt rehearsed. I chalked it up to stress. Everyone hits rough patches, right? Then one day, she texted me while I was at the office. I had a medical emergency. I'll explain when you get home. Can you transfer $1,800 for the hospital bill? My heart sank. I wired the money immediately. But that night, something didn't add up. And for the first time, I wondered if I was being lied to. That night, when I got home, she was already curled up on the couch watching Netflix. Like nothing had happened. No hospital wristband. No signs of discomfort. Just a bowl of popcorn in her lap and a half-hearted smile. "Hey," she said casually, like she hadn't just texted me from an emergency room. I asked her what happened. "Oh, it was just some minor thing. They said it could have become serious, so they acted fast. I'll tell you later. It's gross." She never told me later. She just changed the subject and asked if I wanted Chinese or pizza for dinner. I let it go at first. I told myself it was probably a woman's health issue, something sensitive. And I didn't want to come off as overbearing. But over the next few days, the questions kept stacking up. She never showed me any paperwork, no aftercare instructions, no prescription bottles. And when I brought it up again, lightly, she got defensive. "Daniel, why are you making a big deal out of this? I'm fine." That was her new default. "I'm fine." She said it the way some people say, "Bless you." After a sneeze. Automatic, flat, empty. But I wasn't fine, because this wasn't the first time things didn't quite add up. Like the new perfume I smelled on her coat last month, a scent I'd never bought her. Or the Uber receipts that didn't match her calendar. Or the girls' weekend, where her friends didn't even know she'd been out of town. I remembered one morning when she left early for work, claiming she had a training seminar. Hours later, I walked past her laptop and saw her Outlook still open. No calendar event, no out-of-office reply, nothing. And now this, and was 800 emergency she couldn't name. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But it was getting harder by the day. I started paying closer attention. She stopped saying goodnight. She used to rest her hand on my chest before falling asleep. Now, she turned her back the moment the lights went out. Her phone never left her side. Not even in the shower. She changed her lock screen password. She laughed at texts she wouldn't explain. And worst of all, I started to feel like a stranger in my own house. Like I was renting emotional space from someone who had already moved out. Mentally, maybe even physically. I wasn't looking for proof, but deep down, I knew it would find me. And when it did, it wouldn't just explain the lies. It would reveal just how far they went. It started with a piece of mail she forgot to hide. A few days after that so-called emergency, a white envelope arrived addressed to her. She usually grabbed the mail before I got home, but that day, I was early. The envelope was plain. No logo, no fancy lettering. Just a local women's health clinic I didn't recognize. I placed it on the kitchen counter and waited. When she got home, I watched her eyes lock onto the envelope and freeze. She didn't say anything. She just slowly picked it up and slipped it into her purse without a word. That night, after she fell asleep, I got out of bed and I opened her purse. I know what that makes me. But at that point, I needed clarity more than I needed dignity. Inside, tucked behind a crumpled Sephora receipt, was the invoice 184750 procedure termination of pregnancy date 4 days ago. Patient Olivia Reed. My hands went numb. It wasn't just the word termination that hit me. It was the date. The exact day she texted me asking for the money. The day she claimed it was minor, nothing serious. She had an abortion and didn't tell me. Didn't even give me a chance to ask why. For a long time, I just sat there, gripping the paper with both hands like it might vanish if I blinked. Every word on it burned through my chest. Why would she hide something like this? We weren't trying for kids, but we had talked about it. About timing. About waiting until we were more stable. But this wasn't about timing. This was about something, or someone else. The question slammed into me like a freight train. Was it even mine? A cold, hollow feeling sank into my gut. No. If it had been mine, she would have told me. Or at least said something. Cried, struggled, confessed. But there had been no hesitation, no emotion. Just a clean transaction and a casual text message. That's when I knew. She hadn't made a mistake. She'd made a choice. A deliberate, calculated one. And the only reason to keep that choice from me was it if she knew it would expose something worse. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't pace or scream or demand answers. I just stared at the ceiling in the guest room, while the woman I married slept peacefully down the hall. Like she hadn't just erased a secret life inside her, along with the last trace of trust between us. I didn't know who the father was. Not yet. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. It wasn't me. And if she hadn't told me about the pregnancy, if she had gone through the entire procedure without a word, then she was hiding more than just a mistake. She was protecting someone. Someone who had everything to lose if this got out. Someone important enough for her to risk everything we built. I didn't have a name, but I had a mission now. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I wasn't going to ask. I was going to find out. From that night on, I became someone else. Not a husband, not a victim, a watcher. Every interaction, every schedule, every excuse, log and cross, referenced. I didn't confront her or accuse her. I just listened. It's amazing how much people reveal when they think you're not paying attention. She started leaving the house earlier than usual. She said she had new responsibilities, meetings, deadlines. But her LinkedIn hadn't changed. Her email notifications were dry. She used to vent about annoying coworkers. Now, silence. So I started with her calendar. She kept a physical planner in her tote, black leather, initials on the front. I waited until she was in the shower one morning and quietly flipped through it. Tuesdays and Thursdays, blocked out. No details, just the same initials scribbled at the corner of each entry CH. It wasn't a coworker I recognized. I Googled every name I could think of from her office. Nothing matched. Then I got creative. I remembered she had once given me access to her Uber account so I could use it for a work trip. She never revoked it. My hands shook as I logged in. She took rides to the same address, Tuesdays and Thursdays, not to her office, not to a cafe, to a high-rise building on the other side of town. I copied the address and searched the directory. Caldwell and Hastings Consulting, floor 17. I blinked. Her company's biggest client. She had mentioned them once, months ago. She said she'd sat in on a project call as a note taker. But why was she there twice a week? I kept digging. Pulled up their leadership team. There he was. Christopher Hastings, senior partner, mid-40s, married. 2 kids. The same man I had seen briefly at her networking dinner last winter. The one with the expensive watch and the overconfident smile. My stomach dropped. I cross-checked his photos with hers. Group shots from work events on her Instagram. They were never standing next to each other. Smart. Too smart. But I wasn't looking for what they posted. I was looking for what others did. Tagged photos from company happy hours. A blurry selfie from a coworker's birthday. There, in the background, Olivia and Christopher. Close. Heads leaned in. Smiling too comfortably for, just professional. And that was all before I checked her iPad. She'd stopped using it for months, but never logged out of anything. Messages synced automatically. I opened her chat history. Most threads were clean, sterile. But one caught my eye, archived, but not deleted. A thread labeled only C. The messages were sparse but telling. C. Thursday's still on. Oh, of course. I can't stop thinking about last time. C. One need to be careful. If anyone finds out. Oh, they won't. He's clueless. He's clueless. I stared at that line for a long, long time. This wasn't a fling. It wasn't an accident. It was a system, a schedule, built on the assumption that I was blind. But I wasn't blind anymore. I printed everything. The ride logs, screenshots, even the old photos. I didn't know what I'd do with them yet. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. But I wanted them. I needed them. Because when this blew up, and it would, there would be no, I didn't mean to. No, it just happened. No, please forgive me. No. There would only be the truth, and this time, it would be mine to control. I didn't act right away. Revenge isn't a reaction, it's a strategy. And I wasn't going to waste this on anger, so I met with a lawyer, quietly. I didn't even go to a law firm. I booked a private consultation through a friend, of a friend referral. Neutral office, unmarked door, late evening. The attorney's name was Miriam Lowe. Sharp eyes, no nonsense. The kind of person who never asks, "Are you sure?" Because she knows you are. I'm not filing for divorce yet. I told her. I just want to know what I'd be dealing with. She nodded. How long have you been married? 6 years. Kids? No. Joint property. Our condo. But I paid for 90% of it. She didn't work the first 2 years. Miriam's eyes flicked up from her notepad. State laws don't always care about that. Without a prenup, she may still be entitled to a split, especially if she left a career to support you. I nearly laughed. Support me. She'd quit her entry-level marketing job because she hated her boss and wanted to find herself. And alimony. I asked. Possibly. Depends on her current income, lifestyle, and your ability to pay. I nodded slowly. And what if I told you? She's having an affair. Miriam sighed. It'll matter in public opinion. But this is a no-fault state. Unless you can tie her behavior to financial misconduct or reputational harm, the court might not care. I let the silence hang for a moment. Then I slid the folder across the table. Inside ride logs, screenshots, messages, clinic invoice, a printed timeline. Everything is labeled, dated, and cataloged. Miriam raised her brows slightly. You've done your homework. She's been careful, I said. But not careful enough. She skimmed for a while, then sat back. Okay, so here's what I suggest. Start cleaning up your financial picture. Don't hide anything, but reposition. Pay down joint debts. Reduce visible liquidity. Move recurring business expenses forward if possible. I nodded. I'd already started. Back at home, I prepaid 6 months of condo dues. Shifted my business revenue cycle to retain cash in company accounts. Bought updated equipment. Hired a part-time assistant for future expansion. All legal. All documentable. But together, it would make me look a lot less appealing on paper. Then came step 2, cutting off her financial control. She still had access to one joint account I rarely used, the one I'd used to transfer the hospital money. I emptied it. Quietly closed it the next week. I moved my direct deposit, got a new credit card in just my name, switched my passwords, started documenting shared expenses in case she tried to claim I'd withheld support. She didn't notice. She was too busy playing perfect. Still cooking dinner. Still smiling. Still acting like she wasn't texting a married executive behind my back. Then came step 3, the risk. I set up a Google alert for Caldwell and Hastings. Followed every employee on LinkedIn. Started quietly building a file, not on Olivia, but on Christopher Hastings. Turns out he wasn't just a senior partner. He sat on the board of 2 nonprofits, one focused on corporate ethics, the other, a foundation for fatherhood mentorship. Oh, the irony. I bookmarked everything. Compiled articles, screenshots of bios, and board meeting dates. Why? Because I wasn't going after her heart. I was going after his reputation, and all I needed was one final confirmation. It came on a Thursday. I told Olivia I had an out-of-town conference. She didn't ask which one, didn't offer to drive me to the airport, just said, have fun, and went back to scrolling. I never left town. Instead, I parked down the block from the High Rees, same building, same time window. Watched her enter. 5 minutes later, Christopher followed. This time, they didn't even try to hide it. He held the door. She touched his back as they walked in. I took photos. Time-stamped, same clothes, same address, same window. There it was, proof, live and in color. Not that I needed more. But now I had the moment, the thread that would unravel his entire polished persona. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was ready. I waited until Monday morning. I figured the start of the week would hit harder. Catch them both mid-performance, juggling meetings and pretending to be decent human beings. I didn't send anything from my personal email. I created a burner Gmail, routed through a VPN, with no signature and no name. Just one sentence in the body. Thought you should be aware who's representing your firm in board meetings. Receipts attached. Attached was a PDF, 23 pages long. The ride logs, time-stamped photos, clinic invoice, chat screenshots, a highlighted calendar showing the overlap between company, funded trips and hotel bookings in Christopher Hastings' name. And the Pi CDRA assistance, a still frame from last Thursday's surveillance. Olivia's hand on his back. His grin. The building name is in clear view behind them. I sent it to 3 recipients. HR Director of Caldwell and Hastings Ethics Board of the nonprofit Chris chaired, General Inbox of the Fatherhood Foundation, labeled urgent, for board review only. Then I turned off the account and went for coffee. No rage, no adrenaline, just peace. The kind of quiet that comes when you've already set the fire and now you're just waiting to feel the warmth. It took 3 days. The first sign came from Olivia herself. I walked into the kitchen Wednesday morning, and she was sitting at the table, pale, phone in hand, lips trembling. They called me, she said softly. Whoa, HR, from Caldwell and Hastings. They said someone filed an anonymous complaint about me and Chris. They said we were being investigated. I played dumb. That's serious. She looked up at me sharply as if searching for some trace of recognition in my face. Daniel, did you? I tilted my head. Did I what? She stared, then shook her head slowly. Nothing. She didn't ask again. By Friday, Chris Hastings' LinkedIn profile was wiped clean. Gone, no current employment listed, no board affiliations, no bio, just silence. 2 days later, an article appeared on a local business site. Senior partner at C&H resigns amid allegations of policy violations. Short sanitized. But I knew what it meant. Behind closed doors, the walls had collapsed. Olivia didn't speak for almost a week. She was still coming home, still trying to pretend it was all stress and coincidence. But her eyes had that hunted look now. Like she knew someone was pulling strings behind the scenes. She just didn't know who. Until the envelope came. I didn't leave it anonymously. I wanted her to see it. A plain manila envelope. No return address. Just one word handwritten on the front, clarity. Inside, I printed every piece of evidence I'd sent to the firms, and more. The screenshots. The photos. The invoice. The timeline. A list of every move she made, every lie she told, all organized, all calm, all factual. At the end, a single note. You didn't just betray me. You tried to make me feel crazy for noticing. You don't get to rewrite the story. I just took the pen back. She read it in silence. Her hands shook. Her breathing went uneven. And then, in a small, broken voice, "Why would you do this?" I didn't answer immediately. I poured myself coffee. Sat across from her. Let the moment stretch. Finally, I said, "You made a choice, Olivia. You chose him. You chose secrets. You chose to lie, to my face, for months. You could have left. You could have told the truth. But instead, you tried to erase me quietly." So I responded quietly. She started crying. Not loud, not theatrical. Just soft, defeated sobs that didn't ask for comfort. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. She moved out 2 weeks later. I didn't kick her out. I didn't need to. Her name was already being whispered at work, at the gym, and at every coffee shop where people wore business casual and knew someone who knew someone. The man she risked everything for. He ghosted her. Once the firm cut him loose and his wife filed for divorce, he vanished. Moved to another state, according to one rumor. She tried reaching out. I know because I saw her text on the iPad. "Chris, please." I didn't know it would blow up like this. I lost everything. No response. When the movers came, she didn't look at me. She just kept her head down and signed the final papers like she was clocking out of a job she'd already been fired from. No goodbye. No explanation. No redemption arc. And that was fine with me. Because this story wasn't about her anymore. It was about the man she underestimated. The one she thought was clueless, and the way he burned everything down, silently. For the first time in over a year, the condo felt like mine again. No more tiptoeing. No more late-night paranoia. No more second-guessing every laugh, every silence, every excuse. Just me. The sound of my own breathing. The smell of fresh coffee in a kitchen that no longer carried the scent of betrayal. Olivia's departure was quiet. Clinical even. She left behind a few things. A dress hanging in the hallway closet. A chipped mug she used for tea. And her favorite throw blanket balled up on the couch. I boxed them all up the next day. Dropped them at her sister's without a word. She never asked for them back. I won't pretend it was easy. Some nights, the silence got too loud. The apartment felt too still, too symmetrical, like life had been scrubbed clean, but not yet refilled. But there was a strange comfort in that emptiness. It was honest, and after living in so much carefully curated deception, honesty, even when it was lonely, felt like luxury. I threw myself into work. Closed 3 big contracts in 6 weeks. Expanded the consulting firm I'd started from scratch back when Olivia said she believed in me. Turns out I didn't need her belief. I just needed space to breathe. 6 months later, I met someone new. Not through dating apps, not through friends. We bumped into each other at a coffee shop. Literally, I spilled cold brew down the front of her linen blouse. She laughed. I panicked. Offered to pay for dry cleaning. She declined. Said, "Now I have a coffee, scented memory attached to your face. I think that's a fair trade." Her name was Marin. Smart. Grounded. Ran her own boutique marketing agency. No games. No half-truths. Just real conversations and late-night walks that made me remember what it felt like to be wanted, not managed. I didn't tell her everything at first, just the broad strokes. Divorced, rebuilding, working on peace. She didn't pry. And that alone told me everything. As for Olivia, we haven't spoken since the day she left. Occasionally, I hear whispers, mutual acquaintances mentioning she's keeping a low profile, trying to apply for jobs outside the industry. Apparently, the scandal stuck harder than she expected. Christopher Hastings' name is now a cautionary tale in local HR circles. Her name, even worse. She tried to rejoin the nonprofit space, but doors kept closing. People forgive mistakes. They don't forgive being exposed. I won't lie and say I feel nothing when I hear those things. I feel closure. Not satisfaction. Not triumph. Just the quiet certainty that I didn't have to destroy her. She did that on her own. All I did was give the truth a place to breathe. One evening, I came across a note I had written to myself months ago. Back when everything first fell apart. I'd scribbled it on a legal pad, half delirious from lack of sleep, after finding that invoice. "You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are being erased." I remember staring at that line over and over. It wasn't anger that had driven me then. It was grief. Grief for the version of me that trusted blindly. Grief for the future I thought we were building. Grief for the man who apologized for noticing the truth. But I don't grieve anymore. Because the man Olivia tried to erase. He doesn't exist now. In his place is someone sharper, quieter. Someone who listens more than he speaks. Someone who learned that silence is not weakness. It's precision. If there's one thing I've carried from this entire experience, it's this: don't yell when you can document. Don't chase closure. Create it. And never underestimate the strength of someone who chooses strategy over screaming. Because when you know the truth, and they know you know, You've already won.